Russia continues to attempt to capture Kupiansk, sending soldiers to storm it through an old gas pipeline under the Oskol River. Meanwhile, reports to the Russian leadership have listed the city as liberated for 2 months now, and dictator Vladimir Putin has received precisely these reports repeatedly. In reality, the situation is quite different. As the Washington Post reports, only small groups of Russian troops remain in the main part of Kupiansk, most of whom have already been destroyed or driven out by the Ukrainian armed forces. Nevertheless, the Russian command continues to push new troops through the underground gas pipeline daily, despite suffering massive losses. The Ukrainian side learned about the pipeline last summer, thanks to information provided by prisoners. After that, the Ukrainian armed forces identified all exits and placed them under constant surveillance using drones. Now, every soldier emerging from the pipeline becomes a target almost immediately. According to Ukrainian commanders, the pipeline is approximately 15 kilometers long. Some Russian soldiers travel inside on electric scooters, forced to ride in a crouched position. There are cases of soldiers emerging from the pipeline with signs of chemical poisoning. An officer with the 13th Operational Brigade Charter, with the call sign ABAT, notes that the Russian command is not changing its tactics despite constant losses. If they have anything, it's human resources. The way we use drones, they use people, he says. Ukrainian armed forces continue to hold their positions, and Russia's attempts to take Kupiansk by this means only lead to further senseless losses for the sake of propaganda and the general's attempts to curry favor with Putin. Recall, fierce fighting has been raging for several years over the city of Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region. Both Russia and Ukraine now claim control of the city. Meanwhile, Novaya Europe spoke with military analysts to find out what's really happening in the city. It is known that the Russian army captured Kupiansk in the first days of the full-scale invasion in February 2022 and held the city until September of that year, when Ukrainian forces liberated it during a successful counter-offensive. However, by the summer of 2023, the Russian occupiers began attempting to recapture it again. Ukrainian forces currently control almost the entire heavily damaged city of Kupiansk. Russian troops are attacking both the right and left banks of the Oskol River, attempting to break through to their encircled assault forces in the city. Military expert and retired Ukrainian Armed Forces Colonel Roman Svitan told the publication. According to him, up to 100 Russian soldiers could be hiding in the basements right now. They are being detected and destroyed by Ukrainian armed forces, clearing teams and drones, sometimes using intercepted radio communications. This clearing operation will continue for some time. Svitan emphasized, concluding that Kupiansk can currently be considered a gray zone. At the same time, Russian military analyst Kirill Mikhailov agreed with Svitan, noting that according to Ukrainian sources, it will take several more weeks for the isolated Russian troops to be completely withdrawn from the city. There are also reports of attempts to push Russian troops further north along both banks of the Oskol. I estimate the number of Russian soldiers remaining in Kupiansk to be in the tens at most. The Russian army will likely attempt to resume the offensive on Kupiansk in the near future, if only to avoid being recognized as having been repelled. However, they are unlikely to succeed quickly, given that Ukrainian forces recently neutralized all Russian gains in Kupiansk over the past year, the expert added.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Iran Monday against attacking Israel as he addressed the Knesset. If Iran makes a mistake and attacks us, we will act with a force that Iran has not yet experienced, Netanyahu said. Iran will not return to what it was, he added. According to Associated Press, Israel triggered a 12-day war with Iran in June, launching attacks on Iranian nuclear and military sites, saying it could not allow Tehran to develop atomic weapons. Iran has long maintained that its program is peaceful. Netanyahu also spoke to the Knesset about U.S. President Donald Trump's new Board of Peace that will supervise the next phase of the Gaza peace plan. Netanyahu said he disagreed with some of the appointees to the board, but that his different opinion would not interfere with relationship with Trump. Turkish soldiers and Qatari soldiers will not be in the Strip, he said as he described the certain disagreement. The White House last week announced an executive committee of leaders who will carry out the Board of Peace's vision, but Israel on Saturday objected that the committee was not coordinated with Israel and is contrary to its policy, without details. Members include representatives of ceasefire monitors Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. Turkey has a strained relationship with Israel but good relations with Hamas and could play an important role in persuading the group to yield power in Gaza and disarm. It doesn't detract in the slightest in my close relationship with President Trump, our great friend in the White House, Netanyahu insisted.
למי שמעוניין למחוא כפיים. לא. בבקשה, ראש הממשלה.
אם איראן תעשה טעות ותתקוף אותנו, אנחנו נפעל בעוצמה שאיראן טרם הכירה. איש אינו יכול לנבא מה ילד יום באיראן, אבל דבר אחד ברור, יהיה אשר יהיה, איראן לא תחזור להיות מה שהייתה. כאתגר לאומי מרכזי. חיילים טורקיים וחיילים קטרים לא יהיו ברצועה. יש לנו ויכוח מסוים עם ידידינו בארצות הברית על הרכב מועצת היועצים, כך קוראים לזה, מועצת היועצים שתלווה את התהליכים בעזה. עכשיו, יש ויכוח, אני שם אותו כאן על הבמה, על הפודיום. מכל ויכוח מדיני, גם כשמדובר באינטרסים החיוניים של מדינת ישראל, אפשר להתווכח, אפשר לחדד את עמדתנו, ואגב, אפשר גם להגיע להסכמות. זה לא פוגם כהוא זה בקשר הקרוב שלי עם הנשיא טראמפ, גדול ידידינו בבית הלבן.
אני מנצל את ההפוגה לברך את אורחינו שביציע, ברשותכם אעשה זאת בשפה האנגלית.